It also goes to show you how kind of an awful character Ross is. He's my favorite, but he's also kind of an awful character. Like he is one of the more hated of the characters,
He's
and
so full, like he is pretty full of himself.
Team Joey and Rachel. Screw Ross.
yeah.
Welcome to Splat Attack, a podcast honoring the slime-filled past. Can I be any more excited that it's officially Thanksgiving? I'm Manny, and this is my trifle-making wifey, Heather.
And I'm your saucy moist maker, Alex. And this is my wife who I was never on a break with, Megan.
Hi.
Hey, Manny.
Yes.
It looks like we might be in the Thanksgiving mood, but what's this holiday with a little friendly competition, right?
I like where your mind is at. I think we should get ready for a little dirty versus battle.
Wait, didn't we just clean before we started? Let's not get dirty.
I fixed everything up to look really pretty for today. So come on.
Oh, make a mess? No, 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 no. We're not doing that. I would hate it. No, I'm talking about versing two Friends Thanksgiving episodes.
Ooh. Okay, so a couple of things before we get into this. There's kind of twofold things going on with this episode why we want to do this. One, Megan loves it. It's one of her favorite shows as she strips before you.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who are listening, she's wearing a shirt of
Joey
Joey.
Tribbiani.
I'm terrible with the names,
Joey.
but she's wearing a shirt with Joey on it. It says "How you doing?"
Because
But
Joey doesn't share food.
Never.
the second thing is one of the first criticisms that we got when we first started the show, and it was just Brett and I, and we were getting near the end of the season. We had one person say how much he loved the show, but he really couldn't stand the female guests that were on the first season and said they just sound super gossipy. Why don't they just run off somewhere and just talk about things like Friends? So season 2, we doubled down on having more female guests, and now we're going to talk about Friends because Friends is hilarious.
Yes.
So shut it and stuff it, like the turkey you are. Gobble, 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 gobble. But no, Friends is fun, and it's 90s, and obviously something we've not talked about on this show before for Splat Attack. So
I've
this
been
is
pushing it, y'all. I've been pushing it.
and yeah, Megan's been pushing, and I was thinking there's got to be something that we can tie this in for the show, other than just hey, let's do a Friends episode. And I think it was actually Megan's idea that we could do something with the Thanksgiving episodes because there's so many,
There's one in every season.
and that's when we came up with an episode battle. So I'm really excited to talk about this because this is new territory. I like to branch out of Nickelodeon every once in a while and talk about something new, but Friends, before we get talking about our individual episodes and our experiences with it, for anyone who's lived under a rock and has never heard of Friends, Friends was an NBC sitcom that ran from 1994 to 2004 that follows six friends that at some point all live in the same apartment complex in Manhattan as they constantly stick their noses in each other's business. The group all gets into crazy situations, but despite it all, the good and the bad times, the one thing that has them come back to each other is friendship. So happy 30 years to Friends. There was a ton of special guests in the show, including Christine Taylor, Brad Pitt, Danny DeVito, Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, Reese Witherspoon. Everyone at some point has been on this show. And main cast, obviously, Ross Geller, who was played by David Schwimmer, Monica Geller by Courtney Cox, Rachel Green by Jennifer Aniston, Chandler Bing by Matthew Perry, rest in peace, you're very greatly missed, Phoebe Buffay / her evil twin Ursula by Lisa Kudrow, and finally, Joey Tribbiani, played by Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
So before we really get into the discussion of our two episodes because we've never talked about this show. Every time we have a Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark versus, we've all done these episodes, so you've all heard our experiences with it. But Friends, Heather, I'm going to start with you. What is your experience and memories that you have related to Friends?
Friends was one of my favorite shows. So like I have go-tos. Like when I'm in a funk or like I just want like some feel-good thing, it's gonna be Golden Girls or Friends. Like those are my two go-tos. I could go through every episode and like as we were discussing like the Thanksgiving episodes, I was like, I could tell you which episode they are, which one's which, and people will say this is the best episode, but this is my like so I I lived for Friends. I don't even remember like I'm having a brain fart thinking of like so it was 94 we said, right? So
Yeah,
I
Yep.
94.
probably
94.
didn't watch it when it first came out because I would have been 9 years old. But like it was always in like on reruns and stuff. So I love it. My sisters and I quote it. My friend has the Lego Friends like at her desk at work. So the little coffee shop and we kind of move them around. So it's I think when COVID happened, I had like someone make me a Friends mask. So it's one of my favorites. It means a lot to me and I feel like it's something almost everybody knows to some extent. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody knows something, like a line, like even if you haven't watched tons of it, there's something in there that if you mention it, someone will be like, "Oh, is that Friends?" You know, I think it just crosses so many generations. Even people like the youngins at work, still know who Friends are. Like even though they don't know everything and like the references we make, and I don't understand half the words they say. Um, Friends is still like a bond that like spans all generations,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Yep.
Like Golden Girls, like Full House,
Yeah.
Family Matters, Boy Meets World. I mean, there's a lot of shows that just they transcend the 90s and
Mm-hmm.
into just pop culture even by today, even though it's very, very 90s, early 2000s. The comedy and the content and the relationships are still very, very relatable, which is why people enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
But Megan, what has been your experience?
Well, I sadly did not watch the show when it aired and when it was on early through the years, even in the 2000s. I never did get into it. I had heard about it, I knew about it, but at the time, of course, in 1994, I was like 7, 8 years old. Um, so I age wise was probably a little young for it because some of the content they talk about obviously is more adult. So I couldn't, I never really felt drawn to watch it. So unfortunately, I didn't really discover it until maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. I want to say a couple of people that I worked with at the hospital were like, "You should watch Friends. I think you would really like it." And I never really was big into a lot of sitcom shows now. Like I don't even watch a lot of current shows that are like sitcoms. Most of them the writing's garbage or they're just I don't know, they don't draw me in. I always liked more drama or fantasy adventure kind of shows. But um I knew he like he loved Seinfeld or
Mhm.
and
Home Improvement.
and Home Improvement, and I did grow up with Full House and Fresh Prince, and I loved those. And everyone kept telling me, well, if you love those, you need to watch Friends. So lo and behold, I started the show, and ever since I've started it or had started it back then, I have watched it at least 3 or 4 times all the way through.
Within the
We
last few
Within
years.
the last few years, I've still go through and turn, like you said, Heather, I turn it on while I'm working as background noise because it is like I don't have to, I can just listen to it like listening to a podcast, but I can still know what's going on. And Yeah, I think it was relatable. There were so many different with the variety of the characters. There was something you could relate to or compare yourself to with any of them. And I love how a lot of the situations they go through in their lives are things that people go through in their lives, like so many divorces, Ross. Um, Trying to become an actor and be, as theater people, we would have loved to have been actors and do that for a living, and the struggle that Joey goes through. There was just a lot that I felt like I could relate to with Friends. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get into it until an adult. But what?
Smell the fart acting.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of do that. But yes, absolutely enjoyable. It's definitely in my top 5 probably favorite shows of all time. It's bumped up there because yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Danny,
Yes.
what is your experience with Friends?
It's similar to Megan's actually, because I didn't get into the show when I was younger either. My family and us, and I've said this before on the Full House episode, we didn't really grow up like watching sitcoms or anything like that. It just wasn't in my family's wheelhouse at all for entertainment. So I sort of found this stuff out a little later on in life, for myself, just like Nick and Knight and everything else. But I didn't get into Friends until I met Heather about like 10 years ago. And she's like, "You're going to love this show. I promise you will." And me, I'm just like, "No, I'm not." Full House, first Full House, and now this. I don't know about this show. And I loved it. We've watched the show over and over again. Like, and it makes perfect, like, I don't know, like you said, background noise, because you know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
And I would, if you could put it audio wise and drive in a car, that would be great too, because you can just see it in your head. It shows are like, gives you the warm fuzzies, and I don't know, it's just something about it is the style of the time. And preparing for this episode, we didn't know what episode we were going to be doing, so we've watched like almost all the Thanksgiving episodes.
Yeah, I
It's
did too.
really great revisiting those, especially the football one. That's
Yes.
really good. um I think there was another one as well.
Oh, season 7's one of my favorite ones with the Thanksgiving pants. Joey's wearing Phoebe's maternity pants, and he's like, "I'm in my sweatpants. Bring on the food."
Well, my experience is far less extensive than the three of you.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
You're like, "That's it.
No,
The end."
I've only watched it all the way through one time, and
That's fast.
and yeah, Megan said, "I think you'll like the show," because Megan very much enjoyed it. The thing I remember the most is a commercial, which I don't even know if I've told you this, but back in the I think it was the late 90s. I remember just being in my bedroom playing with Legos on the floor, and I had TV on and just let it play in the background while I was building with Legos. And it was on NBC, so there had to be something like Fresh Prince or something on at the time. And and there was a commercial where they were talking about the episode where um, Phoebe was announcing to everyone that her brother was going to have a baby, and they want me to grow it inside my uterus.
Yeah.
Like they played that little thing over and over. That I saw that TV spot so many times within like 2 hours on NBC, and that one moment is forever etched in here. But yeah. But Megan asked for it on DVD, so I got her the whole set one year, and she watched the whole thing, and she very much enjoyed it. Like she asked me to get it before she even watched it. And then she watched it all on DVD, and then she said, "I think you'll like it. Watch it with me." So I watched it with her, and she was right. I did enjoy it, but It's not one that I'm going to revisit a whole lot, but
Oh.
and it's not to say, that I didn't like it or that it's not as good as other ones. It's just no, it was fine. I enjoyed it, and if she's got it on, I'll watch it with her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I'm always got other things going on. But I did for Christmas one year painted her a set of Friends Christmas ornaments,
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
which we just hung up.
Yep.
Going along for this episode, we are looking at two episodes that we are going to do a versus on. Manny, you are going to be emceeing this event for us, so why don't you give us start us off? Who's going to be doing what?
Okay, it looks like Heather will be defending the one with all the Thanksgivings, and Megan will be defending the one where Ross gets high. And Alex is our esteemed judge. And of course, we have our categories.
You'll vote.
I'll vote for Heather on all five.
Oh, thanks.
Episode's done. Thank you all for listening. Manny, what are the categories?
Okay, here are our categories: story,
I know.
main characters, use of Thanksgiving theme, memorable quotes, and lasting appeal.
Manny, what is the episode info for both these episodes?
So, season 5, episode 8, the one with all the Thanksgivings, aired November 19th, 1998, written by Gregory S. Mullins. And season 6, episode 9, the one where Ross gets high, aired November 25th, 1999, written by Gregory S. Mullins
Oh.
as well.
So, with that, before we go into each category, we first have to get this thing officially started. So, for our episode battle, let's get it on.
All right, Heather,
Okay.
tell us about your episode.
All right. The one with all the Thanksgivings. So we open with everyone sitting in the living room and they're super stuffed from Monica's delicious feast because, I mean, she's a chef.
Yep.
And they're discussing what everyone is thankful for. And Joey is thankful for the breeze and hence thongs because apparently an upskirt situation, inappropriate, but it's Joey.
Yeah.
And then he goes into a discussion about how great thongs are. Like literally there's like the bumper for the show and then it comes back and he's still talking about it. And they even make a comment of like, you're still talking about this? Ross sarcastically states that he can't decide if he is more thankful for his divorce or his eviction from his apartment, making this the worst Thanksgiving ever. Chandler interrupts him, saying that he is the king of bad Thanksgivings. And no one wants to hear his story again because it's obviously going to be about how his parents announced their divorce, like on Thanksgiving. But Joey's like, but it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without Chandler bumming us out. So Chandler takes us back to 1978 and we see the flashbacks to little Chandler, dad, and mom, played by Morgan Fairchild, who like, a little thing there. Awesome that like Morgan Fairchild was his mom. And of course, the houseboy. Mom's leaving dad because dad loves the houseboy. And we end the scene with "More turkey, Miss Chandler." Mr. Chandler. So Phoebe chips in and she recounts that Thanksgiving, 1862, as a nurse on the battlefield in the Civil War, trying to save a patient and getting her arm shot off. Joey is jealous that she remembers her past lives, but they all agree it does not count because it was not this life.
Yeah.
Rachel then explains how she knows what Monica's worst Thanksgiving was. Phoebe interrupts her Oh, was it the year 1992 when Joey got his head stuck in a turkey because he wanted to scare Chandler? I mean, I'm not saying it didn't work because it did scare Chandler, but his head being stuck was not part of the plan. Well, you did look like an idiot, is one of the things. Monica does not want to tell her story about what like her Thanksgiving was, but they like push her, so she finally tells. 1987. Monica is her larger form. If you've never watched the show, Monica was um an eater, is what they called her. Like, I don't like the term fat Monica. So in some of those flashbacks, you see her as her bigger
Yeah.
version.
Plus
Um,
size Monica. We'll say plus
plus
size.
size Monica. I like that.
There we go.
So she and Rachel are seniors in high school, and Monica is comforting Rachel because Rachel has been dumped yet again by Chip. You know, that was the night they were going to she was finally going to, as Monica puts it, give her her flower and see his tenderness, which
Uh-huh.
really makes Rachel uncomfortable. And she's like, if you're ever going to have sexual relations, you should get the terms right because no one's going to find that attractive.
No.
Meanwhile, Ross and Chandler both show up. They've been in college. They're roommates, and this is the first time the family is going to meet Chandler. They come in like full 80s gear. The Gellers are super disappointed because he's the boy who doesn't like Thanksgiving. Um, and he looks like he has a flock of seagulls haircut.
Oh, yeah.
Monica's mom, Judy, is very upset that like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's bring him for Thanksgiving. And Monica offers, hey, I can make you some mac and cheese. Chandler loves the macaroni and cheese and tells Monica, hey, you should be a chef. And she's like, okay. And I wonder if that's like why did she literally become a chef because
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
During all this, Ross finds out that Rachel and Chip have broken it off, and he's like, hey, Chandler, you want to stay the night? Because instead of us going out bar hopping and using our new fake IDs, I want to try and get in, and maybe this is my chance to get with Rachel because he's been obsessed with Rachel since, because it's Monica's best friend. Chandler gets upset because he doesn't want to be stuck at home with your fat sister.
Oh.
Yikes. Monica overhears that, breaks down in tears, storms out, and she's so upset that she even turns down food. And I hate that scene. It just makes me like uncomfortable, stereotypical, like as a plus size kid.
I related to her in that moment. Like for someone, for me, I related so much in that moment for her. So yeah.
Super cringy when the mom is like, Monica, we don't have any food room in the refrigerator. Do you want to finish these pies? She's like, no. And the dad's like, oh, there it is. You finally, something I never thought would happen. She's finally full or something like that. I hated her parents in that moment.
Yeah.
That's like one thing I hate about the show.
And
Um,
and to address that, that was the thing back then. Not to
mhm,
say it was right. I'm
Yeah.
saying that was the common thing,
mhm,
especially for any actor, period, who was big. The
Mhm.
stereotype was always that person is always eating. And
Mhm.
it was in every movie, it was in every show. I think the first real occasion I can think of where there was a plus size person and their size was never mentioned was Lori Beth Denberg on All That. Not one time was her size ever brought up as a joke.
Yeah.
Uh, but even into the 2000s, into the 2010s, jokes like that were like Fat Amy on Pitch Perfect.
Mhm.
It was still a very, very common thing. But I've seen it less and less.
Mhm.
And we've been seeing more positivity
Yeah.
towards plus size performers, which is fantastic. I'm really happy to see that.
Mhm.
But like you said, yes, the fat shaming in the seasons of Friends, that was a product of its time. It has not aged well, but most of the show has.
Yeah.
But But just that one, that maybe one or two, like some of the gay references a few times that they do as well, especially in this episode. But overall, most of the show is still holds up well. Anyway, back to you.
Oh yeah, that's something I struggled with because like I wouldn't eat in front of. It's still something I have a hard time getting over. Like I won't go somewhere and eat by myself because I can't be the fat girl eating by myself. Like I hated eating in the cafeteria at school, dumb stuff like that, because that was just in my head all the time. So rewatching that, kind of hate it, but I just try and overlook it. Back to it. So they're back in their present time, and Chandler's like, I am so sorry that I called you fat. Um, they go through some like unpack some stuff, and Rachel's like, no, that's not really what I was talking about. It was the next year. So they flash back again, 1988. Ross and Chandler arrive again for dinner. And also now they look like they're in Miami Vice with their little jackets. And Monica debuts her, I guess, diet. She is now thin in a Vava Voom velour dress.
In a year.
In a year,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I am shook because
Nobody would look like that in a year. I'm sorry.
absolutely not. I've
Especially
tried.
doesn't know how to wear sleeves on her dress either because
Yeah.
the sleeves were down here
That's
for some
that's
reason.
how they're
right?
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
Yeah.
was the
mind.
fashion.
That
It was the fashion of
was
the
a very
times.
party like dress that, yeah, they would wear like that. Yeah.
We also see that Rachel has gotten a nose job. So Chandler sees how stunning Monica is and finds her attractive. And we also learn a fun little fact if you're a Friends viewer is that Ross is now dating Carol, his first wife in the future. And he talks about like all the things she's into and how his family will love her. And like it's like red flag, red flag, red flag, like Alex said, the homosexual jokes. Like
Stereotypical. Yeah. Oh, she plays golf and the
plays
lacrosse team.
yeah,
It's
and
for both
She
teams.
plays for
she
both.
plays for both teams. Yeah, it's cringy. Um, so Monica is like, I don't, it's not enough to be thin and like have him like attracted to me. I want revenge. So she plans on humiliating him. And the best way to do that is by seducing him and then not letting him have anything. She's like, I'm gonna throw his clothes outside and let him run through the streets naked. Silly stuff like that.
Oh,
So
come on. Julia Roberts already did that.
Yeah, I was about to say, you mean like that one episode to Julie Roberts?
Yes, I know this is a flashback, technically timeline wise,
Yeah,
for
it had
those of you sticklers out there.
she was the original.
first.
So Rachel's trying to show her how to be seductive and trick him by like, you can make anything into an object. So she's running a dish towel through her hands and up against her body and drying herself off. And Monica's like, I can do that. Easy peasy. Let's go. Chandler comes in and he's like, hey, can you make me some more of that macaroni and cheese? And she's like, absolutely. It's time for seduction. She grabs the first thing she can, and it's a box of noodles. And for those on the camera, she's like, oh, these macaroni and cheese. I just love the way they feel on my face. And she's rubbing the box of noodles on her face.
Manny, are you turned on right now?
But wait, where are those pens?
Sorry, that's just my knee.
This poor girl has been sheltered. Like, really? A box?
Flour. He calls it her flour.
Her flour, yes.
All they've done is put cake in her face and leave her alone.
Wow.
But then it gets better because if that macaroni and cheese box isn't enough, she picks up the carrots between her fingers and looks like some weird Freddy Krueger and is rubbing them all over her body. And she's like, it makes me so hot. Sometimes I just like to put them between my fingers and go like this. And she's rubbing them up and down her body. And it's just not enough. So what does she do next? She grabs a knife.
Manny.
Yeah,
She said,
what else can I make? Oh,
sometimes I like to hold it up against my skin. It's so awkward, but hilarious. And Chandler is looking at her like, what is wrong with this chick? But I kind of like it until I don't know what she does. She can't hold the knife. She can't hold the macaroni and cheese, which she's now holding
Yeah,
underneath her.
the box fell, and
Straight
then
to
she
the-
tries to catch it, and then everything
And she
flies up.
drops the knife. And as it goes, slow motion, right down into Chandler's foot. And as the dad's saying later, of course it went through his foot. His shoes are made out of wicker. So we see them rushing to the ER. And the doctor saying, "Don't worry, we can replace it as long as you have it." And Monica says, "I've got it right here in this bag of ice." And the doctor says, "Ma'am, this is a carrot." Manny's losing it.
A very cold carrot.
It's just a very cold carrot. We flash back to the present, and Chandler is so upset that he lost this toe. All because he called Monica fat. And he's like, talking about, I think it's great because he got a really cool nickname out of it. And that's one of my quotes for later, so I'll save it. But he's really sad because he lost the tip of his toe over this whole revenge thing. And he's really upset, and he's like, "I just need a minute," and he storms off. And Monica is so desperate to get him to forgive her that she puts the turkey on her head like Chandler did or Joey did earlier. And if that wasn't enough, she puts a fez on, and she puts big giant glasses on, and then does a little shimmy shake. Chandler's loving it. He thinks it's hilarious. And he said, "I just love you." And she has one of my other favorite lines that she says. She turns around in her turkey head and says, "What?" And then it's like a whole, wait, did you just say "I love you" for the first time while wearing a turkey on my head? I can't believe this is the first time this has happened. So their feud is solved, I guess. And then of course the show, oh, that's right. Joey walks in and finally gets scared. And it's kind of like that karmic, justice of the turkey on the head. And we end the episode with Phoebe's flashback of Thanksgiving 1915 on the battlefield again. This time she's French and she loses her arm again.
This is ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay, somebody please tell me, and I'm talking in the comment section because I don't know, but it certainly looks that way. The first flashback with Phoebe, and she had the patient. The dude looks like Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Is that Chris Pratt? Someone tell me this.
He goes, he looks like Chris Pratt.
So, confirm or deny. Somebody, please. I gotta know. Concerning the story for this episode, what about this episode makes it what makes this episode stand out among the other Thanksgiving episodes?
For me, it's all the different changes, like the going back, the different costumes. Like it wasn't just a normal episode where you're following through like all the flashbacks, the different costumes, the different like bringing characters back, like the mom, the dad, parents, a little baby Chandler. Well, not baby, but young Chandler. I think not just having that present, I feel like they put more into the episode because they're flashing back so much. Like, I mean, it's not like it's just a sound stage. So it's not like they're like on scene somewhere. But I think that makes it stand out a little bit more to me. Getting to see all of those Thanksgivings, so to speak. And of course the classic turkey on the head, which is like an iconic like symbol from the show with the fez and the sunglasses.
Megan,
Yes.
tell us about the story of your episode.
We open up with Monica getting off the phone with her parents because we learned that they are coming over to have Thanksgiving with them at their apartment. But she has not told them that she and Chandler are living together. By this point in the show, if you didn't know, they are now a couple, Monica and Chandler. But they have not told her parents yet. Chandler walks in. He's not sure why she hasn't told them, But come to find out, it stems from the fact that for some reason they don't like him. Not really knowing why. Monica probably was like, oh, it's probably because, you tell jokes all the time. You're kind of aloof, sarcastic. You leave your clothes everywhere. And he's like, is that, you mean more like for you or for them? Is that why you don't like me? But he's not going to let this get him down. He's like, you know what? I'm going to do my best to win your parents over. I can be charming. I mean, hey, it worked for you. And she said, well, we can't get them that drunk. And cue the credits. As we come back from the credits, then we are over in Joey's apartment, who's playing video games with Ross, and
Twisted Metal 2.
His roommate at the time, Janine, who is a dancer, very beautiful dancer at that, has invited Joey and Ross to Thanksgiving with her dancer friends. Well, of course, they really want to go, but they've got to stop over at Monica's for Thanksgiving, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out of it. So we shall see what happens. So back at Monica's, Rachel is really excited because she's going to be making this delicious English trifle for dessert. Though Rachel's not really known for her cooking skills like Monica is, because she is a chef. Phoebe decides to make a little fun. So she's like, so what are you fixing, Monica, in case we all decide to eat all the dessert of Rachel's? Want to make sure we got enough to go around. She's like, nothing. I trust you. Rachel's kind of like, you do? You do? You sure?
Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Terrible idea, because she was already burning the butter. Ross and Joey come in with a Thanksgiving greeting, and then they try to leave. But of course, Phoebe questions why they're trying to leave, and Joey, feeling pressured, squeals the plan that Janine invited him to go with her and her dancer friends for Thanksgiving. Monica sternly says, no, you're not leaving us to go see some hot dancer girls. You're eating with us. Just then, Jack and Judy Geller welcome back Ross and Monica's parents, as we had in the last season as well in the Thanksgiving episode. Chandler tries to do his best to butter them up and be charming, but unfortunately, it backfires. Such as, is it snowing out there? Dusting off his coat, and unfortunately, it was not snow. And things are still not well when Phoebe explains to Rachel that she thinks she's now attracted to Jack Geller, their father. After having a dream about him last night where he was a fireman and rescued her from a burning building. But to Rachel, she said Jack will always be that guy who walks in while you're changing. So later that evening, Ross and Joey are ready to have Rachel serve the trifle so they can hurry up and leave. Rachel, very proud of her dessert, explains it to them before she serves it. She describes all the layers, including ladyfingers, jam, custard, which she made from scratch, raspberries, more ladyfingers, beef sauteed with peas and onions, bananas, and whipped cream on top. Dumbfounded, Joey just smiles. But Ross, on the other hand, is like, beef? But Rachel's like, yeah, it's like a minced meat pie. Maybe English people put weird things in their food. Rachel has to leave for a second, and Ross grabs the cookbook, noticing that there are 2 pages stuck together. Joey yells at Chandler, Chandler! Who knows? Maybe he likes carrots. Ross realizes that she's made half of an English trifle and half of a shepherd's pie. Joey's worried that they won't get to see the girls because she'll have to start over, but Ross says we're not going to tell her she messed up. This could be one of those Thanksgiving stories that ends up being really funny and a good memory. So then Ross then sits down to an uncomfy situation while Chandler is still trying to win over the Gellers. He's starting to stammer, complimenting Judy's sweater. It's very tight. When he hears her say to Jack, I think he's stoned again. Confused, Chandler is wondering why would she think that when Ross takes him, can I in Rachel's room for a little chat. He tells him. Well, Ross tells him the reason his parents don't like him. It turns out, spring break in high school, Ross got high in his bedroom, and his parents walked in and smelled it. So, to avoid punishment, he told them that Chandler smoked it and jumped out the window.
Which obviously like makes the most sense because that's exactly what you do, right? You just smoke and jump out the window. Like
Question was though, like, did they have like a 2-story house? Because if so,
right?
that would have been a
I'm pretty sure they did. So like
I
It also
I was
depends on
high. I
where you
jumped out the
breathe.
window.
I mean, yeah, because I was like, I'm pretty sure they had a 2-story home because later in the seasons they go back to get things, and I think Monica was in her room or something. I don't know, but yeah. So I was like, makes me
even in
wonder.
my episode, like Rachel or Monica comes down the
The
stairs. Even the
stairs.
prom episode, they come down the stairs. So
Yes,
like
that's
there are
right.
stairs. Their rooms are upstairs. Like
They could have had one of those little ceilings that are 1 story up, so he could have jumped out the window and onto the ceiling, the roof, and then jumped back down again.
maybe this is a Clarissa explains it all situation with
Or
a
he-
ladder.
the ladder, just
Yeah.
hang at the door.
Hello,
Jumped out the
Chandler.
window.
Well, frustrated Chandler tells Monica because she storms in the room after her parents said that if Chandler was wondering if he was trying to get Ross stoned, and Chandler tells her that it was Ross was the one who got high and he blamed it on him. Monica demands Ross to tell the truth. Ross avoids it when Joey explains to him that they have to tell Rachel that she messed up the trifle. It being Thanksgiving and not Truth Day, Ross comes up with an idea to have everyone act that they like the trifle so that they can leave and hang with the dancer girls. So Ross takes Rachel outside to chat with her, hoping to distract while Joey is explaining to the family how to act like they like it. He said he took some acting classes. You could rub your tummy like this and
I'm not paying for any more acting
I'm
classes.
not paying for any more of those acting classes, Chandler says. While outside Ross is talking with Rachel, things start to get a little awkward because Rachel's thinking that he's trying to get back together with her because at this point they are broken up. And
They were on a break.
they were on a permanent break at this point. So then Rachel walks back in and serves. However, one by one, they all have a weird excuse as to why they can't eat it. Well, Phoebe's was actually legit. She couldn't eat it because it had beef in it, and she's a vegetarian. I can't have it, she says. Monica goes, this is so good. I'm going to go eat it in the bathroom.
So I can watch myself eat
I
it.
can watch it. Yeah. Ross stuffs his face so fast so that she can't even try it because she's like, is it bad? Is it not good? And Chandler had to say that a bird grabbed his and it dropped on the ground and took off with it. He couldn't eat it.
Yeah, he left on the balcony and dumped it and claimed that a bird got it.
But he does say if it's any consolation, he looked like he enjoyed it.
He enjoyed it, yeah. And while she was outside with Chandler, Ross was like, "It tastes like feet," and Joey pops up and goes, "I like it." What's not to love? Well, later, Phoebe woke up from a nap, had another dream about Jack, her, and that he dream cheated on her. But Jacques Cousteau kicks his butt for betraying her and sweeps her off her feet. After Ross again tries to get out of telling his parents the truth, Monica takes matters into her own hands, which leads to my favorite part of the episode. Leads to a weird back and forth between these two of shattered revelations. Monica and Chandler are living together. Ross was fired from the museum, married Rachel, and got a divorce again. Phoebe loves Jacques Cousteau. Rachel just discovered that beef doesn't belong in a trifle, and Joey just wants to go. Although the one thing I did forget is, well, Hurricane Gloria didn't break the porch swing, Monica did. And we kind of knew that, honey. Like, okay. Well, Jack and Judy,
Jill?
almost said Jack and Jill. Yeah, Jack and Judy expressed their disappointment in Monica and Ross for keeping secrets from them. But then they apologized to Chandler and thank him for not only making Monica happy, but for being Ross's best friend and supporting him in all his problems. Rachel feels so special that everyone ate the dessert just so that she would not feel bad. However, each person confesses to not having eaten their portion of the trifle, only to find out that Joey ate everyone else's portion. Of course. And that endeth the episode.
So, same question for you. What about this Thanksgiving episode makes it stand out from the others?
This one, okay, so there were so many things about this one that I loved. I talked about like the humor. I always enjoy David Schwimmer's humor. I told Alex, I said he was one of the, I think, only actors that when came on the show, he was actually a theater performer. He had never really done film or TV yet. And it really shows because he knew how to be funny with just expressions. So, like, the way he would look away and just give these looks, I would die laughing. And to me, he was a standout in this episode with the shoving the food in his mouth and him eating it so fast. And another reason too that it holds so much is going back to when we saw Matt LeBlanc on the Graham Norton show, and he relived a memory of filming this episode.
Ross is saying he doesn't like it, and Rachel hears him, and it hurts her feelings, but he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, so he eats the whole thing. He says, no, it's delicious, and eats it all. But there's too much on his plate. So he starts to eat it all, and he can't finish it, and he starts laughing. So we cut, and as we're cutting, he kind of spits it back on his plate like that. And I'm sitting right next to him, and I'm looking the other way. I didn't see him spit it back on the plate. Right? So I take his plate, I go, give it to me, and I scrape some on my plate. I go, here, let's go again. And we go again, and now I'm eating it. And we finish the take. No one says anything. Cut to the rap party, and we're watching the blooper reel. And I'm watching him going, oh, I remember this was funny.
Several reasons. I love the humor in this episode. Whereas in the last one, we got more like memories and then that sweet moment at the end with him telling Monica that he loved her for the first time. This one just brought all the laughs. It brought a lot of memorable quotes for me. And again, with each actor in the episode brought something funny and unique to it. And I think that's for me why it's such a standout. And that's why I enjoy it so much.
Heather, for our first question, main characters on your episode.
So we've got the full cast is in this one. I think they're pretty equally I can't words good today. Showcased.
Do it in sign language. It's okay.
I think they're equally portrayed in the episode because you get like a flashback of each of them. Whereas there's a little bit more heavy on the Ross, Chandler, Monica, Rachel. You still get like Phoebe is in Joey's flashback. So maybe it's a little bit less Phoebe Chandler. Woo. A Phoebe Chandler. It's a little less Phoebe Joey. A little bit more on the other end, but we get them all there. We do have Jack and Judy Geller in there. We get twice because we get 2 years worth of that. And we do get Morgan Fairchild as
the mom.
So like a guest star there with Morgan Fairchild as Chandler's mom. We see the back of Chandler's dad's head, which for fans of the show, later on we learn that Chandler's dad is a drag queen now, played by, do you know?
No. Who's that?
I just went blank as to who it is.
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner. That's it. Kathleen Turner plays Chandler's mom
No
later.
kidding.
So,
Wow.
but at this point, it's a man, like the back of a man's head,
Which
and
nowadays would have been more appropriate to have actually had like a either a trans actor play it or a drag queen would be
Yeah, RuPaul or something.
like
that.
yeah like
But I mean, even by those standards, that was still progressive for its time.
yeah
Just to even
Yeah,
acknowledge,
to
yes, it was a
acknowledge.
joke, but no other sitcom would have even
You didn't
put
talk
it
a
out
lot
there.
about relationships or gay
And even then, most sitcoms you'd have gay characters, and people like would lose their minds.
yeah.
The general public, they had straight up said that Dad became gay and later became had a change,
I'm pretty sure
and
he's talked about it since the first season.
yeah,
He brought it
from
up.
season one, and
Yeah.
it was never mainstream news of, oh my gosh, can you believe they put this in the show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's before
It
Will and Grace
slipped through the
too.
radar, even though it didn't age the greatest.
Yeah.
It slipped right through in the 90s.
Amazing.
yeah, I think it was a little bit more progressive with that, and like we said earlier, I think with like the arcs of the
Bless you.
characters, we learn here that like that's not Rachel's original nose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she had a nose job. So we see two instances of like the flashback to the 80s hair, and you've got big nose, little nose. And like we said, the plus size Monica and the thinner Monica. And I think something that I found um kind of special is we know if you watch the show, Chandler hates Thanksgiving. That's a from the very first Thanksgiving episode, he's like, Thanksgiving is horrible. I hate it. I don't like anything Thanksgiving related. In the episode, he even says, as long as the pilgrims didn't eat it, I'm good. Like he hates it, just because of all the negativity and all the drama that came from it in his childhood. But I almost feel like we see at the end with that scene with him and Monica, it's almost kind of like he's found something to like about Thanksgiving because he's got that righteous mac and cheese that she made in 89 or 88. Yeah, whatever year it was, the
88.
second flashback.
87.
So it was something that like he enjoyed about it was her macaroni and cheese. And then in the future, like that's the first time he says I love you because she's goofing around like on Thanksgiving with her turkey. So maybe Chandler's changed his mind a little bit about Thanksgiving and he's grown a little bit
Starting
more.
to like it, starting to grow on him.
And their relationship helped build that, just in my thought, like that little arc of his character.
And Megan,
Yeah.
main characters.
Well, in this episode, we do again have our 6 main actors of the show, which I felt they were very well prominently used throughout this episode. Not so much more one than the other. If anybody may have had less lines, it might have been Jennifer Aniston in this one. I think out of all of them, she might have had the fewest lines. But other than that, she still was a prominent one in the episode because of her making the trifle. And we also get Jack and Judy back as well in this episode. Used a lot more as well in this one.
Yeah, they're really in this one.
We get Janine, our dancer, roommate of Joey's in the episode for a brief bit, but she's there for a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, it's mostly the core 6 in this episode. It really focused and stayed. The entire episode took place in the apartment this time. It didn't take place a whole lot elsewhere, with the exception of the brief little scene in Joey's apartment. But as far as arcs go, with our characters, nothing like major, like story arc wise for them. I will say in this one, this was the first episode. I think this was one of the first few Thanksgivings that it wasn't mentioned or even talked about or said from Chandler how much he hates the holiday. It was never brought up. I was checking on that to see if he ever mentioned it. It was actually also the episode where Chandler's kind of the cool one in the episode. He's not the one doing a lot of corny jokes or being obnoxious. He actually gets the love and appreciation at the end of it. And it's like, oh, well, thanks. And, has that moment at the end where he says he'll talk to Monica and Ross. He'll take care of them. He's become the level-headed friend for to deal with the both of them. The fact that he deals with both of them because they're both crazy. If you think about it, they're crazy characters. And for Chandler to take them on, like Judy says at the end of the episode, the fact that you've been friends with Ross all these years after everything, and now you've taken on Monica, like, bless your heart. Like, and he's just like, thank you. So for me, like, it was just such a moment for Chandler. Like, to me, the episode almost went to Chandler because he won over the parents. And that's always something when you're in a relationship, if you can win over the parents, you're set. And for Chandler to be able to win over the parents, that was huge because, like we had said, he doesn't have a good relationship with his parents. So to have a good relationship with the soon to be in-laws, or hopefully in-laws, we don't know yet in this part of the story, that's huge for him. So I got to give him kudos for that, to be able to establish that relationship, because that's one thing he never has had, was good parental relationships. So
And as upscale and snooty as those two can be.
yeah, considering Ross has a PhD, or he's considered a doctor. He's would be someone who's well respected, and yet he's also, if you don't know, he's actually almost kind of the favorite child of the family. They've kind of treated Monica a little bit crappier. And he was always like the poster child. So for him to have done all these horrible things and have 3 divorces, it he still has his flaws. And the fact that Chandler's still been by his side goes to show how good of a friend he is. So for me, that's what stood out the most as far as arcs for this episode.
So, Heather,
Mm-hmm.
on your episode, what is the best use of the Thanksgiving theme?
I know. Well, this episode had, it literally opens up with thankfulness. They're like, what are you thankful for? That's the beginning. And they've just finished their Thanksgiving feast. So that kind of goes through the whole, reason why they're talking about is their thankfulness. And I think even later on, Chandler makes a comment like, I'm thankful all your Thanksgiving sucked because this is making mine look great. And then you've got the turkey, like the literal symbolism of the turkey, because it's on 2 different people's heads. And pie. Why did I write pie? Oh, pie, because Monica is eating. Her mom's trying to get her to eat the leftover pie.
Scene. Yeah.
So you see multiple Thanksgivings, because you see 2 Thanksgivings at their house. You see the Thanksgiving with Chandler. Like, the only flashbacks that don't have like a Thanksgiving feast are Phoebe's war memories.
Oh no.
Eh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
This is getting ridiculous, as you said.
ridiculous. No.
Megan, use of Thanksgiving theme on your episode.
Considering it is Thanksgiving Day, they are getting. Ooh, that was a little Jeremy.
That was very brilliant.
Jeremy.
Considering it's Thanksgiving Day, what we're going to do is we're going to have a trifle.
One of the things I actually found unique about it too is the fact that Joey and Ross were trying to go to another Thanksgiving, and a lot of people can relate to that because we've had to go to multiple houses or places for one day and spread out our time equally. And we've been in situations where it's like, okay, we're ready to get out of here. We want to leave.
I'm Joey. I want to go.
Joey. In this
Especially
episode,
if they make you eat it all of them too. Like,
yeah. If you do, yeah, yeah. Of course, I always think of that Gilmore Girls episode where they went to like 4 different places for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, walk in. Fix you a plate. I'm full.
Also, we do actually get to see them all sitting around the table enjoying Thanksgiving food or enjoying the dessert. The dessert portion was something we don't actually get to see a lot of. And that to me was what made it so memorable. And of course, the family dynamic with Ross and Monica and with her parents being there, because this is the first one that they've actually they've had them over at Monica's apartment. So I would say that's probably going to be my Thanksgiving shout outs from that episode.
And for the next one, memorable quotes. Heather?
I know.
oh, it's tough. So I have I have a list here, and it was funny because I wrote down quotes and I was like, wait, never mind, that was from Megan's episode. But like, so some of my favorite ones were like I said, when they're flashing back and she made the great macaroni and cheese, and he's like, yeah, you should be a chef, and she's like, okay.
Okay.
When Joey has the turkey on his head in the flashback, and Monica is just freaking out. She's like, because she's going to be serving Thanksgiving at her parents' house. She's like, that turkey has to feed 20 people at my parents' house, and they're not going to eat it off of your head. That's one of my favorites. And also in that scene, a lot of physical comedy in that scene with Chandler or Joey's head in the turkey, just like walking around. He's thinking and he's rubbing his beard, which is like the butt of the turkey or he's saying, it smells really bad in here. And Phoebe's like, well, of course it smells bad. You have your head in a dead animal. Like, and like Monica's trying to get it off. She's like, I'll hold the legs really far apart. And Joey's just giggling from inside of the turkey. Like at some of the physical comedy in that scene, Chandler walks in and does get frightened. And Joey's like, ha ha, got you. And he's pointing, but he's facing the wrong direction. He's like, I'm over here. And he's like, yeah, you are.
It turns the opposite way.
It's like, that's one of my favorite, like, little pieces of it. More turkey, Mr. Chandler, the houseboy.
More turkey.
Whenever we learn that he has lost his toe, just the tip though, because it was a carrot. He's really upset and he's like, that's why for an entire year people called me Sir Limps-a-Lot. Love that. Ross says, Sir Limps-a-Lot, I came up with that. And Joey says, you're a dork.
The best. Alex laughed so hard at that. Look at me.
That one got me.
And he's so upset. He's like, well, I missed the tip. It's the best part. It has the nail. And then my absolute favorite line from the whole episode is when she's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He's like, sorry doesn't bring back the little piggy that cried all the way home. Those are my favorite quotes.
Megan, do you have favorable quotes from your episode?
Oh gosh, so many. My absolute favorite ones from this episode. Like I said, there's so many that are huge, with the band, the going back and forth between Monica and Ross with, yeah, well, Hurricane Gloria didn't break the porch swing, Monica did. Ross and Rachel got married in Vegas and then got divorced again. I love Jacques Cousteau. I wasn't supposed to put beef in the trifle. I want to go.
my favorite is custard, good.
Good.
Jam, good. Meat, good. When Joey's
I like
explaining
it.
the trifle.
And then it tastes like feet. Look,
I like it. What's not to like? Custard, good. Jam, good. Meat, good.
When I even think Judy Geller has a good line because
yes,
he's
that's
like,
a lot of information to get in 30 seconds.
and she's shutting it all down. She's like, and honey, I think Jacques Cousteau's dead.
Yeah. Joey, if you want to go, go. Rachel, no, you weren't supposed to put beef in the trifle.
And no, it did not taste good.
Good. Did not taste good. But yeah, my favorite, like I said at the end there, when she tells, Chandler, she said, "So you've put up with Ross all these years and of such a long friendship, and now you've taken on Monica." And honey, we kind of knew about the porch swing. Yeah, we kind of knew that. Yeah, and he goes, "Oh, well, thank you." And Jack's, "No, thank you." He's talking. He goes, "And Monica, Ross, you two should be ashamed of yourselves." I'll talk to them. Just the end there.
What about when Ross stood up really quickly? No, I don't want to play video games.
I want to play video games.
Growing up with a sister, I'm really happy I grew up with a sister because it helped me understand women. And why don't you tell your friends that?
How you, was Joey saying, how you got 3 women to marry you?
I'll understand.
It's like, dude, how is that even possible?
Good question, man.
Oh, and then yeah, like Monica says at the beginning when he was like, "I'll just charm them with my wits and or whatever he says," and he goes, and kind of he said, "It worked on you." She's like, "Oh, I don't think you can get them that drunk." She was drunk that night at Ross's wedding, so night before his wedding. So
Wasn't there something really funny that Ross said when he was in the hallway with Rachel?
I'm sure there was like I said,
Because she went on a rant and then he was like, okay, or something, and then he goes inside and Joey was like,
she's like, "I just don't think it's gonna work out right now," or something like that. With he's
yeah,
okay. And he
yeah,
goes
it's,
in there, okay. I'm like I said, David Schwimmer is so good at facial expressions, and that's huge, like for me when it comes to acting, because
yeah. Well, this is quotes, not facial expressions.
but he just the when he
The line delivery.
yes, the line delivery, it's memorable.
You
So
can quote with your face. Like, what am I saying now?
yeah.
You're saying I think you are the sexiest man, and I'm really envious that I have to marry Manny.
Be married. She is married. I think that's all I can think of as far as quotes right now. So
I do like Manny had said it. Like I think it was part of the thing earlier. What's with everyone today? It's Thanksgiving, not Truth Day.
Not Truth Day. Yeah.
So Heather, lasting appeal.
I know. So 10 out of 10 would watch again. I was reading articles that were ranking the top 10 Thanksgiving episodes, which there's 10 because there's 10 seasons. And all the articles I read said these were actually the top 2 episodes. So I was number 1 and you were number 2. But I don't know, like the more I watched it, I was kind of like, I don't know, they're pretty equally tied. And there were other episodes that didn't rank as highly that I would have ranked higher. So I don't know. It's biased. I think there's a lot of imagery and scenes from it that have that lasting appeal, like the turkey on the head. I want to say even there's a turkey. Maybe it's in I want to say in the Lego thing. There's like the turkey head, but maybe I'm making that up. I'll have to ask Monica tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ironically, my friend's name is Monica. So, I'm trying to think. I didn't. write anything down for this question. So my brain's having to
Well,
do the work.
it's okay. It's just like how it makes. It's just
It
like
makes
how it
me
makes you feel. How does it
warm
make you
and
feel?
bubbly. And I can't believe you let George Michael slap you. I forgot about that. I'm dumb. I rushed the stage at a Wham show. Yeah, I can't believe you let George Michael slap you.
Who wouldn't?
That time, George Michael was the hottest thing around. I would have let
He
him
was.
slap me, punch me, whatever. Because
I
He
mean,
would
just like when you gotta have faith. Oh, just look at his butt, man. He must
yeah,
work out.
I got faith.
I could have whatever you asked me to have.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had a
Punch me,
George
slap
Michael
me.
poster in my room. I used to kiss it before bed. I had a George Michael t-shirt.
I had a
I
Spice
didn't
Girls poster, and I kissed that sometimes. So.
Oh, so did Alex.
Alex loves the Spice Girls. I wish we had sung
With
karaoke.
some great firewood.
It wouldn't burn that long. But yeah, I think it's one of, like we had said earlier, like the whole show has that rewatchability. Um, and I love rewatching like the Thanksgiving episodes.
100%. So Megan, lasting appeal for your episode.
Wow. Again, like for me, it's all about the laughs. It's my go-to episode whenever I like want to have a good laugh. For me, it's one of the most quotable episodes. As far as Thanksgiving episodes go, not so much in the entire show, but um, I mean, heck, the I want to go is a gif that I use frequently on things for comments, but um again, I don't know. I think I love the camaraderie between Monica and Ross as brother and sister because I have an older brother, and we would pick on each other like that, or and it just I love the dynamic with them, and again, I gotta get like I said, I gotta give the moment to Chandler at the end because he wins over the parents, and that's a hard thing to do. Um, and it's sometimes awkward to have holiday dinners and things with your girlfriend or boyfriend's parents because sometimes it can be really bad, which it started out to be, but then it ends on a good note. And then, again, like with, how many of us have had friends or family members make something and it's probably not going to be good, but you want to be there for them and support them and still
Not me.
try. I have.
I have to.
But yeah.
You'd be like, yeah,
Or
that
like if
smells
your
poop.
kid makes something, but
Ask Manny sometime about the pico he made.
um but yeah, it for me again, it goes to show you how it's great that, when your friends have your back. And they did for Rachel in this episode. They, Chandler winning over the parents, and again, it's just full of memorable quotes, funny stories. It's my go-to every time. I enjoy watching it every year. Well, I enjoy all of it, but it's probably my favorite. It is my favorite Thanksgiving episode out of all 10 seasons. It's my favorite.
But didn't you feel like a sigh of relief whenever, like, okay, we've rewatched this many times, but reruns are made for someone like me who just mind is an etch-a-sketch. I
Mhm.
forget usually what I watch, so I have to rewatch it again and again. So you get this sigh of relief when you finally hear the story of it was Ross who did it, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's you want Chandler to be like, it's not his fault. He didn't do
It's
it. You
yes.
exactly. So
He's over there like, what are you talking about? I never got high. Like, what do you mean? Not like, how are you gonna do that to your friend? So this whole time, his parents thought he was a low life and crap.
whole time.
Like, yeah, I'd be like, you owe me a huge apology, man. So
You can't tell me that they at no given time did they say why they disliked him. Like I thought when I rewatched it, because I was trying to remember like what it was, how it came about. Like I'm rewatching it and I'm thinking at the beginning when they're playing the video games and Ross is like, well, I don't know, maybe it's because you're sarcastic or blah blah blah. I thought he knew at that point in time. And like he was just like, I'm not gonna tell. Like I thought they knew and they just weren't saying why. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It also goes to show you how kind of an awful character Ross is. He's my favorite, but he's also kind of an awful character. Like he is one of the more hated of the characters,
he's
and
so full. Like, he is pretty full of himself.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Considering
I
he's
didn't do
dark,
anything wrong.
according to John, like, dude, like you're not. No,
You're a dork.
you're a dork. Like, yeah, there were several times I'm like, dude, you treated Chandler like crap. Like,
Yeah.
you were a crappy friend to him. So, yeah, he probably didn't, honestly, he probably didn't even think about it, that being the reason. He probably thought it was that because Chandler is more sarcastic and things, but he has more heart than Ross does at a lot of times. So, yeah. So, yeah,
Team Joey and Rachel. Screw Ross.
yeah, Alex was one of those that he was like, I actually
I don't
really,
like Ross.
yeah, he never has liked Ross. Ever. I love him because he's hilarious in my opinion. But yeah, as far as a character, yeah, like he is a horrible person. I'm sorry. So yeah. But yeah, there you go.
Nice. Well, it looks like we got ourselves a regular cranberries versus potatoes or stuffing on our hands, but don't go away. We'll be right back with more of our episode discussion right after this.
You're watching the Emmy Award-winning Friends on NBC.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Splat Attack. If you are enjoying this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, make sure to hit that notification bell to never miss what we are up to next. If you are listening on a podcast app, please leave us a review. Any star is appreciated. These small acts will help others find us. Thank you. It's Thanksgiving, and we love you.
If you like what you're watching and want to dive in more, head over to patreon.com/splatattack. We have exclusive mini episodes every Friday, some featuring our lovely Splat Attack crew, and even episodes from our first in-person meetup. Not to mention slime streams twice a month, early access, and bonus footage. If you're interested, head over to patreon.com/splatattack.
Sure, Joey is wearing enough clothes, but I'll tell you some shirts that are missing. They're our Splat Attack ones. Don't be like Joey and forget. Head over to bonfire.com/store/Splat-Attack-Store with hyphens in between to get all these really cool shirts and even coffee mugs, featuring not just our new logo, but logos from the past 6 seasons. That's, again, bonfire.com/store/Splat-Attack-Store with hyphens in between.
Tune in next time, Slimesters, when we head once again to the Festival of Lights on a Rugrats Hanukkah, where Tommy and the gang try to take down the meanie of Hanukkah. Will they be triumphant, or will they end up with full diapers? You can catch all the retrorific action right here on Splat Attack.
You're watching Friends on NBC.
Welcome back to our episode battle. Let's take a look at what these two defenders have to say about their episodes.
Well, for the judgments for which episode is going to win the verdict, stop petting me. That will not help. Seducing the judge will only result in grounding.
I was like, wait, check your Venmo. I mean, check your
Robbery will only get you so far.
Flattery will get you nowhere. Bribery will. But for the first category, story,
I know.
I like both of these. Like the two of you, these two episodes are the ones I thought of. Whenever we said we were going to do a Thanksgiving episode, I thought of both of these episodes. I actually forgot most of the rest. I remembered the football one. I don't remember the other ones. And again, I've only watched the show one time, so it's these two are the ones that I remember the most from the Thanksgiving ones. So when Megan said that she picked these two, I was like, aha, I know those 2 episodes. I didn't know the titles, but once she started to describe what they were, okay, it's these 2. Gotcha. So yes, they're both very good. And the story, I am actually going to start by giving a tie to both for story.
Oh.
For 2 very different reasons. They are 2 very different kinds of stories.
Yeah.
The first one, I feel, is very, very focused on Monica and Chandler. That's mostly it. You do have some Rachel, you do have some Ross, and a sprinkle of Joey and Phoebe. They're in it so little, and they offer very, very little outside of just some funny one-liners. Rachel is there mostly for the setup. The parents are there mostly just because it's set at their house, but it's very, very much Monica and Chandler's episode, which, is fine. Uh, but for a Thanksgiving episode, I would expect it to be more around everyone, which is what the second one does, Megan's episode, but we'll get to that one in a minute. But what does make this one stand out, and I think Heather really addressed it very well, was how it affected the show moving forward. This episode is one, it's iconic, like Heather had said, especially the turkey on the head at the end. Everyone knows that image. That GIF is everywhere, or GIF, so that way some of you just want to slap me. But also the fact that it changed the characters moving forward.
Yeah.
So many holiday specials don't change plot as severely as this one did, because it didn't change plot, it changed the character, it changed the dynamic between Chandler and Rachel. I'm sorry, not Chandler and Monica, where even the next episode, the next holiday episode, which Megan has addressed, is directly affected from what happened from the year before. So it is an integral episode. Not only is it one that people like to go back and watch because it's funny, but it's also very heartwarming and endearing and has affected the show. So I really like that aspect. The thing that it is because of that why I don't give the episode immediately over to Megan's, because I would give it to Megan's simply because there are things in this episode that are very cringy, like we were talking about earlier. The plus size jokes and a few of the gay jokes that does not stand up well by today's standards. It has to, but again, that was a whole different time period. But looking at it through today's eyes, like I don't know about that. But the heart that they put into the characters between Monica and Chandler really makes up for that. And that's why people keep going back to watch this, because it's such a strong story between those two. Megan's episode, uh, I think, really interwove all of the characters flawlessly. You get everyone's story. Everyone has their own individual stories, even if some of them aren't as powerful as some of the other ones, like Phoebe's, but it's still memorable. It doesn't have the heart and the pathos that some of the others do, but it's still very funny and it's still very memorable. Joey and Ross's whole thing about wanting to leave so they can go to the other party. Chandler trying to impress the potential in-laws. Monica just trying to keep her cool. Rachel trying to impress. The parents just trying to enjoy the whole event, but they keep getting bombarded with weirdness. Everyone in this one room, this is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
This is absolutely Thanksgiving. But I think it's tricky. It's very, very tricky as a writer to have every character have equal time and an equal story in a show, which is why you usually get, like the last one, focused on two characters with everyone else just going around and seeing what's experienced around them. This one, they're all together. And I like how well it's interwoven in Megan's. So because they're two very different styles of storytelling, I'm going to give them both a tie. For, let me scroll back up in my notes here so I don't forget any of the categories. For main characters and character arcs,
I know.
again, it's the same thing. Whereas Megan's is focused on Heather's is focused on two characters. Everyone else is kind of around. and Megan's has all of them, and they all have something strong. And I want to say, first of all, Morgan Fairchild,
Mhm.
flawless casting for young mom, because holy crap.
She's gorgeous.
But also, I want to give a shout out because I don't think this person gets nearly enough love. Elliot Gould, who was Jack
Mm-hmm.
Geller.
Mm-hmm.
I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's hilarious. As in the actor. I think the actor is hilarious because I've seen him in so many movies, and like he was probably more famously that people will know the Ocean's 11 movies, but I knew him
He
from
looked familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
forgot.
knew him from Disney movies, like old school live action 70s and 80s Disney movies. And he wasn't the big what everyone thinks his physical appearance is now. Like he was the young, handsome heartthrob character for a lot of Disney movies in the 80s.
That's
And
why Phoebe likes was
yeah,
attracted to
That's
him.
it.
and he was really good. And then he got doing comedy and then was just has stayed there. But I love him. He is such an airheaded jerk.
He has such great lines. Like mine, he says something about like, oh, I love doesn't that plastic surgeon do great work? He removed a mole. You want to see?
Don't
Yeah,
want
he moved the
Like,
mole cluster. You want to see?
yeah, the mole. And then in your episode, what was it that he was like, yes, we get it. Laugh at me. I have dandruff. And we're not even on that subject anymore, Jack. Like, that was like an hour ago. We're in dessert time. And he's like, or that was it during dinner. Yeah, this was when he first got there. So he's like really thinking about it. Ah, laugh at me because I've got dandruff.
The thing that I really liked about that particular moment was the fact that he said, "Oh, I was just laughing at your joke. It wasn't a good joke."
It wasn't even funny.
It's just the
I-
fact that he said it wasn't a good joke.
The
Yeah.
fact that he made a joke, he knew it wasn't funny, and the fact
Yeah.
that Chandler was trying to laugh, and he was like, "Why are you laughing at my terrible joke?" I
It's like,
love
what's funny?
Jack. I think he's incredibly underrated, and I really love his character. I just love Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
I think he's wonderful. But to go back to the main characters, yes, there is a stronger story arc that most people remember with um, Monica and Chandler in the first one, but just as prevalent, what Megan was pointing out and how the characters move forward after your episode, from how the family has come to accept Chandler. And really, for the first time, Chandler is the cool, level-headed character who we see happen a lot moving forward from this point on.
Mhm.
Yes, he still has his goofy moments, but he has a lot more maturing, probably more than anyone from this point on,
Mhm.
even to the point where he has to move away for a while to do a job, and is actually keeping cool about potentially adopting. I mean, he goes through some pretty
Chandler
strong stuff
is
later.
is the one character who had the biggest, um, like he completely evolved.
Mhm.
Huge
Yeah.
for him. Like the way he started from the first season to where he ended in the last season. Huge story arc for Chandler. And like I said, he definitely had the most standout, I will say, out of all six of them.
Yeah.
Going
Okay,
from
right.
like the guy whose like crutch was his comedy. He's like, I make jokes because everything else makes me uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah, I make jokes.
I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
comfortable.
yeah, like that being his whole persona at the beginning to like being a dad, moving away from the friends and like going out on his own and coming from a broken family where he didn't have that necessarily
Mhm.
stereotypical like father figure, or a good family like model, I guess, like not an I wouldn't say good, I'd say an abnormal family
Yeah.
model.
Especially for the
Yeah.
time frame.
They
Yeah.
weren't really there either.
Yeah.
They were just bickering each other. To now I have a family and I'm going to make them my, it's not
Priority.
my, it's not friends anymore. They're my priority, but you will
Mhm.
always have a place in my home. We're
Yeah.
just going to be a little bit further away.
Yeah.
And from this point on, the shouldn't have called it friends because now it's slowly becoming family from this point on.
Mhm.
But it's my sister and my best friend.
My
Best friend and my sister.
But I'm going to give this to both as well because there are two very strong story arcs, especially starting with Monica and Chandler in the first one, but it carrying and advancing in the second one, while also um, giving characters a better opportunity for all of them to shine in the second one. But the second one would not have been as strong if the first one didn't set the scene for it to carry on and move forward. Use of Thanksgiving theme.
I know.
One, the Heather's is pretty much just set in Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
Yes, they do have their moment at the very beginning, setting the episode up about this being Thanksgiving, and they're talking about things they're thankful for. And then that's mostly it. We do see them coming over to visit for Thanksgiving. They make a few jokes about Chandler, the guy who hates Thanksgiving, but that's mostly it. You don't really see anything else about Thanksgiving until the very, very end with the turkey on the head. And yes, Joey did it earlier too, which when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, you straight up lifted that from Mr. Bean."
That's
But
exactly my first thought too. Yeah.
but there was highlights of Thanksgiving in the episode, while
Crammed so
Monica
many into one
while
episode.
Monica and Chandler's story was the main focus. Megan's episode felt like Thanksgiving because this is Thanksgiving. Everyone getting together and family coming over to visit. I mean, this felt like when we started to have family come over to our house for Thanksgiving for the
Which we
first
do
time.
now. Yeah.
Because it used to be we go over to my grandmother's house,
Yeah.
and now we can't do that anymore. Now everyone comes over here. We have our family that we're close with, and then we'd have the aunts and uncles who'd come over that we're not that close with, and we're trying to find a way to interact and be friendly and fun, and then yeah, eat the food that everyone loves, but this one's not so good, but you try to make him feel good anyway. And then the arguing between family over the really stupid things that happened a long freaking time ago. It's Thanksgiving. It is it is wholeheartedly this is what Thanksgiving is like.
And the need to go to another room to just
Decompress.
eat your
a bit.
dessert.
And
Pie.
like Megan had pointed out earlier, you sometimes have to go to somebody else's. Oh, okay, I got to go here. I've had family that they'd come see us for a little while, and then okay, I got to leave. I got to go to my in-laws now to go see them.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that. I used to have like 3 Thanksgivings
Mhm.
I had to go to.
My sister, they usually trade off like Thanksgiving lunch and then Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah,
and-
it's makes for a busy day, but it's like, wow, I'm sorry, I'm full. I can't eat anything.
I think one year we did Thanksgiving dinner and then we went to another house, like to my other grandparents' house to do dessert to try and like my dad's side for
Dude.
dinner, my mom's side for dessert kind of thing.
It's interesting.
Mm.
But it works. You know, you figure out a way to make it work.
Yep. Gotta share the love.
So Heather's episode has highlights. It's set in Thanksgiving, but Megan's episode was Thanksgiving. So
Thanksgiving.
I'm giving it to the one where Ross gets high. Memorable quotes. I'm dead even on both. I'm giving that a tie as well. I really enjoyed both. They both have a lot of funny moments. "You're a dork" is one of my favorite lines of the series.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a Ross fan, so anytime somebody gives a dig at Ross, I'm like, yeah. But there was some really good ones in the Megan's episode as well, which I'm not going to go through all of them again because we already spent a lot of time talking about it. But both have great lines and great one-liners. Lasting appeal.
I know.
Uh, these are the top two, like you had said. A lot of sites want to list both these episodes as the best ones. I don't know. I don't look them up. But what I do know is these were the top two that I thought of with the Thanksgiving episode when we were putting this episode together. And I prefer the one where Ross gets high. That one is my favorite of these two. And the main reason is because I like the whole dynamic of everyone together. And it doesn't have those cringy moments
Yeah.
that the other one does, that I could just I don't like that. And especially after being with my wife for as long as I have, and being conscious of, I don't like plus size jokes. I don't like fat jokes. So it by proxy, I don't like those. So just because, and that's really it, only because of those couple of things that I just don't like. Lasting appeal, I'm giving it to the one where Ross gets high, which gives a final score of 3 for the one with all the Thanksgivings and 5 for the one where Ross gets high. So before we end this episode, we do have a few things to share with you guys. They're a bit lengthy, like Thanksgiving, but we've got some emails that we've not had the opportunity to really share just yet. So we are going to check out what Moan has got for us over at Mona's Mailbag.
These are for you.
All right, so we've got 3 things that I'm going to share with all of you guys, starting with our first email that we've got from John Murphy Jr.
Hi, John.
This is in regards to our Alex Mack 30th anniversary episode, because the subject says, thoughts on 30th anniversary of Alex Mack? But this is what John had to say. Hello, Alex and Kat et al. Let me just say, I, all in caps, loved this episode. As you know, The Secret World of Alex Mack is my favorite 90s Nickelodeon show. I have such a crush on Larissa Olenek. I can't blame you there. I loved how, on the one hand, yes, it's a silly, gimmicky sci-fi show. On the other hand, it's a coming-of-age sitcom. I liked how they showed how a teenage girl would use her powers in real life, but it also showed her how powers didn't always solve any problem. I loved how, fashion-wise, Larissa could rock anything. The tomboy look, she rocked it. Put her in a dress, she rocked it. Put her in a hockey jersey, rocked it. I liked how, fashion-wise, she was never pigeonholed, and on the same token, never sexualized her either. There were a few episodes in the last season where she had outfits that looked a little juvenile for her age, in my opinion, but that's just a minor gripe. One thing I never noticed as a kid, but I noticed as an adult rewatching it, was how tall Larissa was. Her height is listed as 5'7". She had a very noticeable growth spurt between the first episode and season 2. I was surprised to learn that John Marzolini didn't want to return for the last season. It is pretty weird how Vince just disappeared from the show after his last episode, titled Leaving. He was kind of pathetic in his last season. He was disgraced, unemployed, and deduced to basically stalking...
Sorry.
I was making sure I read deduced right. He was disgraced, unemployed, and deduced to basically stalking the Mack family. I have my own fan theory as to what happened to Vince. I think Danielle Atron honestly had him killed off screen. It makes sense. So thank you, John. He does go into his this or that options for the episode, but if you guys haven't seen it, go to our Alex Mack episode. It was a great fun time. But I have another fairly lengthy one, but fans of the podcast are going to love this response, because this one is in regards to our All Real Monsters 30th anniversary episode. And it's from our former co-host, Brett. Salutations, Slimesters. Bet you didn't expect to hear from me in a city dump, did ya? A little rabbit-like monster recently tugged on my neurons while I was asleep, telling me there's a can of Beans you all wanted. So, here you go. It's an extra grungy and mixed with sludge, just the way Crumb likes it. While my time away from the podcast has been full of challenges and opportunities to grow, my nostalgia sense was tingling strong enough that I had to chime in on this one from the other side. Ergo, here are my thoughts on the All Real Monsters 30th anniversary and your episode covering it. All Real Monsters was one of the top Nicktoons I deliberately set aside time for once it appeared on TV. Didn't matter if it was after school, during dinner, or if it was in the wee hours of the morning when I couldn't sleep. These offbeat yet charming characters were always there to comfort me, sometimes in toy or trading card form, while also imbuing me with some life lessons that we desperately need in the watered-down ocean of children's animation today. Riding high off monster vibes from Are You Afraid of the Dark during my early youth, I made the leap from watching live action to animated creatures effortlessly in 1994, and boy was I pleasantly surprised and scarified by what I was ingesting through the Ickis box. While many favorite episodes sit dearly in my heart, many of which you all have mentioned on the anniversary episode, the one I remember most vividly, more than any of them to this day, is Monster Blues from Season 3, Episode 11, in which an unloved, misunderstood Ickis retreats to an abandoned, condemned building to sit with his melancholy, only to be greeted by a lone blues guitarist. Oddly enough, the guitarist isn't afraid of him like other humans. I mean, how could he? He's blind. The guy thinks Ickis is a boy, which is cute, with a typical scare the human objective proving to be ineffective in this case. The viewers instead are given the necessary space to witness an endearing chemistry formed between Ickis and the guitarist, voiced by Taj Mahal, a real blues guitarist and composer from New York, by the way, as they share each other's pain through music. Ickis digging deep inside of himself to express his dismay through blues harmonica with the musician is nothing less than cathartic for anyone who resonates with this moment of brotherly love. What drives the episode home more than anything else is its resounding theme of friendship. Even when Ickis has gone missing from the academy, his friends still care about him enough to search high and low through the streets and toilets of New York to reunite through their unbreakable bond. But what's more humbling is when Ickis's newly befriended blues buddy is thrown into danger. He leaps to save his human companion without a second thought, thus thwarting the imminent threat of a wrecking ball with one heck of a scare. If it were any other monster, they let that man fall, which goes to show how impactful this climactic moment truly is and how kind-natured and caring Ickis is deep down. Almost done, guys, I promise. All in all, this episode hits a little different for me as an adult, having lived and walked through the streets of downtown Memphis where poverty is too glaringly obvious to ignore, and several buildings sit crumbling and rotting between the blocks of Beale Street and B.B. King Boulevard, home of the blues. But even though life at times can cause feelings of distress, just like it did for our rabbit-eared friend, this episode is a reminder that if we can open our eyes to see past all the disconnect and divisiveness so prevalent in our media and online interactions today, there are others out there who truly care about us, just like I care about all of you. Your wandering, wild yak gakoid, Brett. P.S. Traveling through toilets seems harder than eating garbage for claustrophobic fellows like me, even if garbage is gag-inducing. And I do have one more very, very quick thing to share. Give me just a moment. I'm going to have to log in here. This moment is going to be very short-lived because we have a review. It's been
We
forever.
have a review?
We have a review.
We do?
We had a review, but we have one over on Apple. Here it is November, and I just noticed that we had a review September the 6th, and it's from Texan 2020 with
All right.
with $4 signs and 2 and signs, but the caption says awesome with 5 stars. Thank you, Texan 2020.
Texan 2020?
Texan 2020 says, I enjoy your podcast. It's very nostalgic to anyone who grew up in the 1990s. I really enjoy the verses between Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps. Those are the best. Anyway, great content with a thumbs up emoji. Thank you, dude.
Dude, we got a review.
We got a review. It's been forever since we've had a review.
He
Wow.
is.
So, again, sorry those were 2 long emails, but I do want to acknowledge that, one, we just love hearing from our fans and getting the opportunity to share what everyone has to say. And it was great hearing from Brett. I miss him. So, thank you to all of you. Thank you to Texan 2020. But we do have our final closing question for the episode. Now, closing question is, do you have any fun memories of Thanksgiving? You can write to us via email at splatattack2021@gmail.com. You can DM us on all of our socials. Just look for @SplatAttackPodcast. If you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, what are you doing?
Get to it.
Get to it. Push the button. We would be very thankful. I might show up at your door with a turkey on my head. Interact with us wherever you can. We're always happy to hear from you. Until next time, Manny, will you help me close up the studio, please? I've got to now install the mechanical menorah for next week's episode.
Aye, co-captain. And no need to worry. I already put the right connectors in the right places, so I did all the work for you.
Sure you connected that right. Heather, you might want to check and make sure he's plugged all that in right.
Let me look. Ooh. Yeah. Wow, that could have caused a fire.
Oh.
You need to move this. Yeah. Over here.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. Well, splat you later. Looks like we have a visitor.
We do. Well, let's take a look.
Oh,
Oh.
it's ugly naked guy.
No way! Why?
Wow, it's really him. Oh, and he aged really well.
Out of all the people, couldn't even get Smelly Cat or one of Ross's ex-wives?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only guest I was able to get for our episode.
Well, maybe we could chat with him. How's it hanging?
Is that a mole or? Oh,
Uh,
never mind. That was just a crumb. This episode was recorded at Splat Attack Studios, in virtual home studios, though none in Florida.